All shapes and sizes from the past of Rallycross are represented in the Retro Rallycross category. And here at Croft, they've got very challenging conditions with which to contend. After the 3 qualifying runs, it's the E30 shaped BMW of Gary Simpson, topping the points ahead of Gary Dixon's Astra and Barry Stewart's Porsche 911. Barry Stewart missing from the grid for the final. Ray Morgan not there either, so the survivors in these dreadful conditions. We've had lots of rain all day. Gary Simpson and Gary Dixon on the front row, James Harrold and then Jason Bowes on the second row. The third row, Derek Job, Ian Biaggi, Mark Finch. They go racing. Great start by James Harrold in the Volkswagen Beetle, gets the power down nicely and absolutely scythes his way through, has a bit of a twitch though as he hits the water. 600 horsepower, it's a mighty car that, and it leads the way. Gary Simpson's BMW is second as they go to Clairvaux for the first time. A number of drivers, I think, electing to preserve the machinery. Ray Morgan is there, but from the very back of the grid as they're understeering and getting all sideways. Jason Bowes in the Mark 1 Golf, carrying on the work of his late brother Jordan, who started the restoration on this car. And Jason is now the man behind the wheel of it. So out of the chicane they come, and James Harrold it is that leads the way. He's already had one win, of course, this year outright. That came at Silverstone. He's the man that leads the Super Retro Rallycross Championship for the over 1600cc cars. And this a real throwback to how the sport used to be, with two-wheel drive cars of all different engine sizes taking on one another. At some circuits you'd lose out to the more powerful, and others you would gain. And of course, in weather conditions like this, the smaller engine cars always used to have an advantage. Ian Biaggi's Mini, for example, could be one to watch. As an understeering Beetle is about to lose out, the BMW powers by. Gary Simpson goes through. Gary Simpson picks up the advantage, and up into second place, Jason Bowes going great guns with the Mark 1 Golf. He's sideways at Clairvaux, he manages to hang on to it, or does he? No, he's off, heading for the barriers. Just stops in time, so that means that an even earlier Volkswagen, the Beetle of James Harrold, is back up into second. Gary Dixon's Astra is third, and there, fourth, is Ian Biaggi in the Mini. The man from Dumfries then, turning his way out of the chicane, onto the loose. But James Harrold with the Beetle now is chasing after Gary Simpson there. The BMW, which is a car that for many years has been seen in Super National, now coming into Retro Rallycross and with success, seemingly straight out of the box. The man from York at his home circuit, Gary Simpson, leads the way. And the gap has come right down, look, because James Harrold taking Gary Dixon with him. There, second and third. Fourth is Ian Biaggi. They're concertinaing. BMW, Volkswagen, Vauxhall, and then the BL Mini. That's the way they sprint over the line. James Harrold alongside. There's contact as the car snaps sideways, hunting for traction. But James Harrold booms past in the big 600 horsepower Beetle. Gary Dixon gets through as well, and has Gary Simpson got a problem? It may well be a legacy of that contact because he slows. Ian Biaggi is past him as well in the Mini. So Gary Simpson, having said he was going well, I fear I may have spoken too soon. He slows right down, and that is the end. Perversely in all of this, Derek Job in his four-wheel drive Escort from the back of the grid is just not making progress. There is Ray Morgan, who is ahead of the next rather dark shape, which is Mark Finch's normally fluorescent Fiesta. Gary Dixon goes for the race lead and he goes through, picks up the place. Gary Dixon, new race leader then, ahead of James Harrold. You'll notice as well that the Jason Bowes Volkswagen has stopped by the side of the circuit. So after its spin, life has not improved as the very muddy Mark II Astra now promoted to the lead of the race. Our third different leader really in a lap here. Gary Dixon has hit the front and now with the visibility is getting away. Jason Bowes' car in a rather awkward place. There it is, look in the background. They start the last lap. Ian Biaggi slides through into second. And James Harrold is way out wide on the really slippery, muddy line coming up towards the timing line. So, onto the last lap, Gary Dixon looking as though it's going to be a race win for him. There's the Astra turning its way out of Hawthorne, looking good for the win. Gary Dixon up front when it counts. Ian Biaggi has slithered his way through into second place. Another good effort this by the much-travelled Scotsman in the Mini. Dixon comes through then now, onto the loose, onto that back straight. There is James Harrold in the Beetle, and a red flag is being shown. We're on the last lap, but the red flag has come out. I can only assume it's because cars have been sliding rather close to the parked Golf of Jason Bowes, and therefore to avoid any further contact on the last lap, out comes the red flag to stop the race. We will await confirmation then of the result, but it's a red flag to end Retro Rallycross here at Croft. Gary Dixon confirmed as the winner, Ian Biaggi second, and James Harrold takes third ahead of Ray Morgan and Mark Finch. In the Retro Championship, Ian Biaggi leads, now well clear of Mark Finch and then Stuart Bowes. In Super Retro, it is James Harrold with Gary Dixon up to second and Ray Morgan third as we head next to Lyndon.